Hi, I'm Sandy Shoshani, the director of Be'ad Chaim, Israel Pro-Life. This is a work that perhaps a person wouldn't choose to take, and yet when God puts it on your heart, you have no option. The Word of God says in Proverbs, rescue those that are being led to slaughter. Do not say you do not know. Do not falter in the day of trouble, because the Lord weighs the heart. It grieves the heart of God that babies are being aborted in Israel. The population of Israel today is 7 million. And do you know that 2 million babies have been aborted since 1948? We had last year approximately 150,000 babies born, and we had approximately 50,000 abortions. We have a nation of broken-hearted women here, women who are hurting, women who need healing, women who need to see the hand of God come into their lives and minister to them. In Be'ad Chaim, we care about the mother and the child. We are a nonprofit organization for the protection of the mother and the child because we believe that abortion hurts women. God has placed into each woman a rechem, a womb. The word rechem in Hebrew in singular is the same as the word mercy in plural. Rechem is singular, womb. Rachamim is plural, mercy. The basis of mercy in a woman's life is her womb. It's a place that God has built into her the instinct to care for others, to preserve life and to protect life. And so, when she phones our counselors, we have counselors across the nation of Israel with hotlines. They pick up their phone and they counsel that girl. Their goal is to see her and meet with her and to be able to hug her and minister to her. When they phone, we say to her, what is in your heart? Often she says, I want an abortion. I have no choice. The real choice is to say, my heart, everything in me wants to protect my child. How can you help me? We give her that choice. The choice is to be able to keep the baby.
I didn't want it, but I said to my husband that if I don't have someone who can speak to, I want an abortion. So I came and I saw Cindy. She spoke to me hours and hours and hours. And at last, she convinced me to not do an abortion. I was unsure. I was calling her and she was patient.
I believe that every woman had hope given to her by God that she would be a mother. That's something instinctive. And yet that hope is often quelched by her fears. Our job here is to give her hope, to rebuild her hope. How do we do that? We counsel, we care, we give free pregnancy tests. We have something called Operation Moses. Operation Moses provides for each woman everything she needs for her baby for an entire year. We give her the baby bed, the stroller, the changing table, a bathtub filled with all kinds of baby accessories. Then we give her monthly the baby food that she needs and diapers every month so that she can provide for her child.
אני רוצה להגיד באמת שעזרתם לי המון, ובאמת תודה רבה לכם. אבל שווה להביא ילדים לעולם. כן? כי זה אושר. כן.
זהו, ולא ידעתי מה לעשות, התחלתי לבכות.
I didn't know what to do. I cried when I discovered I was pregnant. Those closest to me got so angry and told me to have an abortion. My parents also were very angry. However, I didn't want to have an abortion because I'd had one before and it was tough to deal with. I'd always thought afterwards that I should have had that child. It was so difficult. I was looking for support but wasn't finding any. Then I learned about Be'ad Chaim on the internet. I called you and we talked a lot. On the one hand, you tried to convince me not to abort, and I realized that it really was murder. But the months passed and I was still struggling with the possibility of abortion. In the 5th month of pregnancy, the abortion was approved by the committee, and I got to the point where I was in the clinic, actually being prepared for the procedure. But I just started crying. I knew he was a formed child, as I'd seen all the images on the internet about how babies develop. He was a new life. So I was crying in the hospital, and everyone said, "Oh, do it." But I ran out of there. I couldn't go through with it. My family took that very hard. I was totally alone after that. I cried during all 9 months of the pregnancy. However, Be'ad Chaim was there for me. I had to move out of my family's apartment and find this place alone. You helped during the pregnancy, and even today you continue to assist me in every way. It's still hard today, but when I look at this little angel, I don't regret my decision for a moment. I say that to my dad, but he and my brothers still haven't accepted it. But I tell you, this little one is worth it all. Since he was born, I haven't cried at all, even though in the final month of pregnancy I was depressed and wept. But then he was born, and now he's like the light of my life. So, my message to other girls is, take care of yourself and don't get pregnant. But if you do, don't get an abortion, because it is life. He returns that love. He's so loving. I'm so happy I have him.
Over the years, we've had a lot of women come in and say that they were so grieved that they had had an abortion, that they were so sorry. And yet I've never once had a woman say to me that she regretted having her baby. Never once. One woman, I actually had to raise my voice. She said, "I'm not well, I'm depressed. This baby, if I have a baby, I'll be depressed." And I spoke right to her heart and I said, "Sweetheart, you will be much more depressed if you don't have this baby. This baby will bring joy into your life." And I remember phoning her when she was in the hospital and saying, "Congratulations to you, you've had your child." And she said, "Sandy, you were right. This baby is bringing me so much joy."
I lived alone in Tel Aviv, where I'd gone to find myself. However, there I lost my soul, drawn as it were by the emptiness. I got pregnant and lost the innocent Oranit that I had been. I didn't want to face my parents and sisters and felt like I had betrayed myself. I told my boss at the kindergarten about being pregnant. She said, "Get an abortion as soon as possible." This coming from a kindergarten principal who works with kids. I was looking for someone to say, "Don't do it, Oranit. It'll be okay." Inside, I didn't want the abortion. It went against my principles. Yet all my Tel Aviv friends said, "Oh, get an abortion now." My boss helped arrange a doctor's appointment where I had an ultrasound and discovered I was expecting twins. I cried when I walked out of the clinic with a choking feeling, unsure of what to do. My boss's reaction to the news of the twins was that now I had an even greater reason to have an abortion. She helped me arrange the abortion committee meeting, which was really a joke. For, despite the fact that I told the committee that I was unsure about having an abortion, their advice was that it was the only solution. All along I was just waiting for someone to say, "Don't do it," but no one did. I couldn't sleep on the night before the scheduled abortion. That morning at the hospital, they'd already initiated the cervix dilation procedure. But as I was going into the operating room, I felt that choking sensation and was very distraught. The surgeon said he couldn't start the procedure until I calmed down. I ran out and just wept and wept. Passing the nearby maternity unit, someone said, "Don't do it," upon hearing of my dilemma. That gave me the courage to do what I felt was right. Just having one person say, "Don't do it," was the sign from God that I needed, to know that I, Oranit, wanted these children. After that, I told my family, and they supported me. I was in the 5th month of my pregnancy when I contacted Be'ad Chaim. I had given up my job and study plans in Tel Aviv and had returned here to Kiryat Malachi. I felt shattered and was totally depressed, probably due to the hormonal changes. I searched the internet and came across Be'ad Chaim. I contacted them and had conversations with Sharon, who gave me the encouragement and support I needed. I met with Be'ad Chaim. Your involvement and that of my parents helped me so much in not succumbing to depression. I'm so grateful to you. I acknowledge my mistakes, but this was the best way to deal with the matter. Now I feel fulfilled and have joy. On returning to Kiryat Malachi, I thought, what will my school friends think? But then I said to myself, it doesn't matter. The really important thing is that you're bringing forth life.
How do we help women who've had an abortion? We have counseling for them. We can provide them with a course, with a seminar. And last year, we began a forest called Be'ad Chaim, the Gardens of Life. This is a beautiful forest in the Latrun area, the central area of Israel, in a place where Yeshua, Jesus, walked, called Emmaus, where he met his disciples and revealed himself. Latrun is the center of Israel, and I believe that's significant because I believe that women from all over Israel and all over the world can come to this forest and plant a tree in memory of the baby who was either aborted or miscarried. And I believe that as women can plant a tree in memory of the baby who was lost, who never was allowed to live, that tree will bring her healing in many ways as she brings closure to her experience of abortion or miscarriage.
I've planted trees in Israel before when you were little in the Israeli army. But this one was life. This one was, whew, it was exciting. I joined the army when I was 17 and a half. I was very promiscuous and I was still in the Israeli army. And during that time, I also found out I was pregnant. But your choice was you either do it or you're not allowed in the army. After the abortion, I found myself in the hospital room crying, and I chose to ignore the feeling of emptiness and just, use it as an excuse to get more promiscuous and do more things. And it went on to drugs, alcohol. I was saved April 21st, 2004. I gave my heart to Yeshua, Jesus. And when I got saved, I realized too then, though, that the guilt was even harder because I knew that it was innocent life. It was just a struggle probably for 6 months because I didn't want to forgive myself. And it was someone that explained it to me through a post-abortive Bible study in simple language that, if I didn't allow, Christ's forgiveness to cover my forgiveness, then what he did, getting up on the cross would have been in vain. So I chose, to forgive myself, and I come back today so that I could be here for the dedication of the Garden of Life, and I planted one for my son.
In the last few years, Be'ad Chaim has been able to help several hundred women. Usually when someone has an abortion, you're thinking that the girl is under 18, maybe a 15-year-old, but really, 45% of the abortions done in Israel are married women. I've had one woman like that just a few weeks ago, a very religious woman. She said, my husband said, I have to have an abortion. We can't afford the baby. I said, sit down, we're gonna pray about this. And we just asked God to change his heart. She phoned me crying. She said, Sandy, when I told my husband I was pregnant, for sure, because she had told me before she told him, she said, when I surely told him, he said, it's all right. Less than 10% of the girls are under 18. Many of the women are in their 20s, 30s, divorced women. We have helped a wide gamut of women.
I'd been with a boyfriend for 2 years. Then my mum left Israel and went to Spain. And so I decided to move in with my boyfriend. A year later, I was inducted into the Israeli army. Around that time, my boyfriend returned to Colombia as he had no work here. I was left alone and fell into the category of a lonely soldier. After a couple of months, I felt nauseous and had stomach cramps. After a checkup, I was told I was 3 months pregnant. Army counselors recommended an abortion. I stayed away from the army base. My commander called, but I turned off my cell phone. I actually lost weight and cried all day, but didn't want an abortion. Eventually, I turned to the army social worker who sent me to the gynecologist, who told me I was 24 weeks into the pregnancy. That's 6 months. And then I decided that I needed to have that abortion. The social worker sent me to the committee to have a late-term abortion approved. They did that, and at 25 weeks I had an appointment for the procedure. At the hospital that morning, they explained that first they would kill the fetus with an injection to the heart, and then they'd induce labor, and I would give birth, only it would be to a dead baby. I was very apprehensive. That night I didn't sleep at all, and I wept, but I thought I had no choice. I lay on that bed in the hospital operating room. The doctors were there. The injection needle was prepared. But I got up and hastily left the room. I told the doctor I just couldn't go through with it. I had just seen the image of the baby on the ultrasound screen with its beating heart. It hit me that in a few moments his heart would no longer be beating, and I wept. The doctor said this was the only chance, the last opportunity, and that I had to decide. I chose to be a mother. It was very hard after that. The army gave me a discharge, but I had nowhere to live. It was then that I heard about Be'ad Chaim and contacted them. I spoke to Sharon on the phone. She said, "Don't worry, don't abort, we'll help you." Be'ad Chaim put me in contact with one of their volunteers named Roberta, right here in Ramat Gan. Roberta took me into her home. I was already in the 7th month, and she helped me with everything, including getting to all my medical checkups. Roberta helped me with getting used to the idea that I was going to be a single mother. Be'ad Chaim helped me with all the necessary supplies and equipment for the expected baby. At the Jerusalem office, they gave me beautiful clothes and blankets for him. That made me so happy. I stayed with Roberta for a month. Then I moved to a Be'ad Chaim apartment in Akko for pregnant mothers. I went there at 36 weeks, and soon after delivered my baby, Tom. He came early and was tiny, but thank God he was healthy. Now I can't imagine my life without him. After the birth, I stayed on at the Be'ad Chaim apartment for several weeks. Tom is everything to me. He's worth every tear I shed. When he was born, I didn't have anything. Be'ad Chaim was great. Knowing I'd get the super farm vouchers for baby formula, the stroller, bed, and a place in which to live meant so much. I knew I'd be able to work after that and get my life together. You offer such great assistance to each woman.
We need your support. We need believers around the world to support us and help us, to uphold our arms, to pray for us, and to support our women so that they might be able to choose life, that their womb, that their rechem would be able to say, I choose mercy for my child. I choose to give life, that I might receive the blessing. To sponsor a woman for 1 full year, all it requires is $1,500. That's not very much money. And so if 12 people, imagine this, 12 people could pay $12 a month for a year, you would be able to save a life of a baby in Israel.
Lamb of God, your mercy I have seen. Lamb of God, your blood has washed me clean, and now I can praise you all my days, for through you I am of God, Lamb of God.